All right, welcome to the cross contour line drawing for 6th grade. For this project, you're going to create a realistic cross contour drawing of an object focusing on line. So, for example, here's a piece here that shows you cross contour lines. It's tricky for people and animals and things like that. So I would love for you to do an object. Like the saxophone looks really cool. Person, not so great. So we really want to focus on an object. So you want to pick something that's really cool to do for your piece. We're going to study Da Vinci, Albert Dürer, and Sean Koss. So 3 really cool artists, and your teacher can delve more into those with you as you guys work. You're going to be using pen and ink for this project, and you want to use either 8x10 or 9x12 paper for this. It tends to take a little bit of time. Unless you work really fast, I would stick with these sizes. Here's your rubric right here, and you'll go over that more on your self-evaluation day. Here's some vocab that you're going to need to know to be successful with this project. So you need to know line, contour line, cross contour line, value, line quality, shape, and form. And right now you're like, I have no idea what any of those means. That's okay. You'll know either by the end of this video or definitely by the end of the project. You'll know all these words really, really well. All right, so in class 1, you're going to watch this video. You're going to brainstorm ideas about what object you'll create. When you're creating this, like I said, objects just kind of turn out better, and I really want you to love your piece. So you're going to pick one idea and then do 2 sketches. So I have this really cool hourglass that I love, and I was like, this would be a really cool project to do for these cross contour lines because of the poles that hold it up. So you can see I did 4 sketches. You only need to do 2 sketches, but these are some examples. So one idea, whatever you want to do, whatever object, and then you're going to do your 2 sketches. So this one I zoomed in, this one I zoomed out so you see the whole thing. This one I really zoomed in. And this one would be as if my paper was in landscape or horizontal, like across orientation. You can see I also practiced with the pen and ink on my sketches just to get an idea of what it would look like, and you kind of read a little bit more about that later. So again, class 1, you're going to brainstorm ideas, pick one object that you want to create, and then you're going to do 2 sketches of the object that you chose. Think about that. All right, so for class 2, you're going to practice with the media. So you're going to watch this video below. This is going to explain to you contour line, cross contour line, value, and line quality. After the video, I would love for you as a group or as a class or individually to define these words in your sketchbook, because you're going to use them every day that you do this project. So it's important that you know how to use them and that you're using them correctly. Alright, so after you watch this and do your words, you're going to create a small sphere and cone using cross contour lines, and then a pear. So I'll show you the examples. Okay, so you're going to do a sphere and a cone. Okay, so essentially you're drawing a circle, and that would be the outline is just your contour lines. And then when you draw these lines on the inside, those are called your cross contour lines. And see how it makes it look like a sphere instead of just a circle. So the circle would be a 2D shape. The sphere is a 3D form just by using cross contour lines. So it's exciting. Same thing with the cone, and you just make sure that you kind of just follow along right with what you see here, and that's going to help you get an idea. Notice these lines aren't perfect. They didn't use a ruler. They're just freehand. It's just to get an idea of cross contour. In this one right here, you see I have a pear. So this is another thing that you're going to do in your sketchbook today, is you're going to draw the outline, or we call it the contour of the pear. So you're going to draw the outline. Then these lines are cross contour lines. Okay, so contour is just the outline. Your cross contour lines go with the contour lines, and they help define the form. They help it make it look more 3D or more realistic. Okay, another thing to consider here is the line quality, and that's just how thick your lines are. So I left the lines thin as they were closer towards where the light was coming from, because it would be lighter there. And when areas where I want it to be darker, I just made the lines thicker. So that's how you adjust line quality and add cross contour lines to make something look more realistic. Now in your project, you don't have to do vertical and horizontal cross contour lines because you're like, well, it looks like a grid. Yes, it does. This is just so you get the idea of how to do it either way, so that when you do your project, you'll be able to be equipped with the skills to do it either way. Here's an apple. If you get done early, you want to try something a little bit more challenging, the apple is definitely more challenging. Okay, so again, for class 2, you're going to watch the video, define your words, do a sphere and a cone, in this here, sphere, cone, and then you're going to do your pear. In class 3, you're going to work on your pen textures. So you want to think about what's going to work well for your piece. So you could use just contour lines and cross contour lines. Or you can use some of these really cool textures depending on what you chose. For my hourglass, I chose to use these cross contour lines of just straight lines that I curved, and then probably stippling for the sand in the hourglass. That would make sense for me. What I want you guys to do is pick 3 of these 9 that you think would work really well with your project and recreate them in your sketchbook. So you can see they're almost also like value scales, where you have lots of dots close together where it's dark, and then you see less dots farther apart as it gets lighter. And that's how you're going to create areas of light and dark or shade in your piece. This is scribbling, really fun technique. Lots of scribbling close together for dark, less scribbling farther apart for it to be light. And you can do that with almost anything, but go ahead and select 3 for this, and you'll recreate those in your sketchbook. And then you're going to pick one of these spheres and recreate it as practice. This is scribbling. Again, you are going to draw your whatever you're doing first with pencil and then do the pen. So you can see how I drew the circle with pencil first, and then I went in and added the pen. I did not outline with the pen. If you outline the circle in your shadow, it's going to look flat no matter how well you add the texture. And then you just erase your pencil lines when you're done. Same thing with the cross hatching. You can see that pencil line that will be erased, and stippling. Okay, so you're going to do 3 of these today, and you're going to do 1 of these for class 3. All right, now class 4, you're going to map out your final piece. So you're going to select the best of the 2 sketches you did from class 1, and you're going to lightly draw your piece. Okay, fill the space, and by that I mean draw big. The bigger you draw it on your paper, the easier it's going to be to add details. Okay, have someone check your mapping before you add any cross contour lines in there, and no pen today. I'm just working with pencil. If you can see with this image, I added and outlined the highlights where I was going to put no lines and I was just going to leave the paper completely white. I did that because when I was working in my sketches, I realized it's going to be really hard as I'm just adding and adding these lines to stop myself and not put it where there should be highlights. So I decided to go in and outline the highlights, and that really worked well for me so that I didn't end up getting pen where there were supposed to be highlights. Okay, so today is mapping, pencil only. If you get done and you want to start trying some of those lines, just try them with pencil real light. See if they look great, and then you'll be ready to ink them next class. All right, class 5 to 7, you are going to begin adding your contour lines. Okay, we just talked about this. You can see that I outlined everything with pencil as my mapping, and then I started adding my lines. Notice the difference of outlining. You see in this little area right here where I outlined that? Big mistake, because look how flat it looks right there. It looks 2D. Notice here where I didn't outline, and it looks so much more realistic, so much more 3D. So if I didn't point it out, you probably wouldn't have noticed that small mistake right there, and I could fix it by adding some more lines close to that, like I kind of did over here. But you want to make sure you don't outline, okay? That's what's going to make it look flat. All right, again, if you get stuck and you're like, I'm not sure if this is going to look good, try with pencil first. If you like it, ink it. If you don't like it, erase it. No big deal. All right. Next class is going to be your self-evaluation, and I'll allow your teacher to do that with you and go over the rubric. And again, in parentheses, I put kind of some little clues to help you understand what that means in that section. And this is not the class it's due. This is just the class that you're going to be looking at the rubric to see where you are and what you can do to improve the quality of your piece. Class 9 and beyond, you're going to review the rubric at the start of class, ask other students what they think of your work and what can be improved. Continue inking until it's complete. Once you finish, sign it in the bottom right-hand corner with the year, and then turn it in however your teacher has decided this process will take place. If you finish early, I have a really cool Inktober challenge from this year, from 2021, that you can look at here. And even though it's not October, I still think you'll love it. It's a really cool challenge, and it gives you something to do every day to help improve your skills. I really hope that you like that. Here's an example here so that you can see how I added in this piece a lot of different textures. So this is just a basic fill. And then you can see cross-hatching. You can see just lines, and then again just cross contour lines to make that chord look round. Cross-hatching here, just hatching here. So this is a variety, and I just tried to look at those that we had and say, okay, what's going to work here? What's going to work here? What's going to work here? And then just pick the ones that work. And again, try it in pencil first. If it doesn't work, try it in pen, okay? Or excuse me, erase it before you ink it. And here I made a mistake. So this originally I didn't have this ink supposed to be coming out of the gun like this, but I messed up with the ink down here. So I was like, well, I'm just going to turn this into something cool instead of starting over. So think of that as a way to fix a happy accident. All right, these are really good examples here of, like, this one looks really flat, like a cartoon, right? Because everything is the same line quality, the same thickness. So you don't want to do that. This one shows how just the simplest thickening of a couple lines makes the apple look more 3D, even though it's still pretty basic. It makes a big difference by adjusting the line quality, which is just the thinness or thickness of the line. And then these are cross contour lines. These lines, again, help define the form, and they help us see the hand as 3D. In case you're getting any ideas, no, you cannot put your hand down and trace it and do that for your piece. Too easy. I know you can do better than that. All right, here's some value scales with some different pen textures in case you need some more practice as a whole one. You kind of did those small ones in the squares, but if you need more practice, you can do the full one. Here's some good quality examples from Richmond Senior students. So you can see here there's a pepper. They used just the lines, and then they used stippling for the shadow. This one, a really great example of composition too, where notice the violin was not just like straight up and down in the middle of the paper, but it's off to the side, and they used really cool textures and things like that in here. Here's another example of a controller. I know the student was shocked when I said, yeah, do a controller. There's so many different parts in there that can look really cool as long as you do it correctly with this project. And again, you want to pick something that not anyone else in your class is doing. So if someone's already doing a controller, do something else. Think of something different. Any object will work really well for this. So especially smooth objects, like you wouldn't want to pick like a fuzzy slipper. That would be really tricky for this project. But anything like smooth objects will work really great. Here's some other examples. And here's some of the artists that you're going to study that your teachers can talk to you about. Albert Dürer, he was an awesome German printmaker. Let's see his work. And here are some pieces by Da Vinci, which I know you've heard of. And here's Sean Koss. And here's his website. His work, I will warn you, is a little bit scary and creepy, but he does really cool things with raising awareness for people that are dealing with issues like mental disorders and things like that, so that the general population can kind of understand how they're feeling better. So he does some really cool stuff if you're interested in checking his work out. Here's some things on the rule of thirds if you want to delve into composition a little bit better, but not necessary. All right, so I'm super excited to see what you create for this project. Remember, you're doing an object. that you focus on line. Contour lines are just the outline. Cross contour lines help define the form. Line quality is just how thin or thick it is. All right, good luck.